Hello, welcome. You're watching Your Stocks on CNBC-TV18 and I'm Vinny Motiwala in the Mumbai studio. Nifty as of now is trading at the day's highest point, 23,160-170 levels is where the Nifty is at. Even the sensex 2 is managing to hold on to good gains of 0.9% and broader markets clear out performances coming in from the Nifty mid as well as the small cap, both holding on to gains of almost 2%. For the Nifty mid cap, small cap holding on to gains of more than 2%. So yes, that's how the market shape up is looking like. But this is a show where we solve all your stock related queries, and to solve all those queries today we have our experts joining with us. Somil Mehta, the head of alternative research at Capital Market Strategy, Mirae Asset Sharekhan, as well as Astha Jain, research analyst at Securities, joining in with us. Good afternoon, Somil, as well as Astha, and thank you so much as always for joining in with us on the show. Let's get started with the first query for today. We have Madhusudan S, who's writing to us from Chennai. She's holding 150 shares of Tata Power. This is at a price of 415 rupees per share. Wants to know the long-term outlook of the stock. Astha, what should the viewer be doing with Tata Power? Long-term story, what is it looking like?
Hi, good afternoon to everyone out there. So talking about this counter, I think long-term is looking okay right now. So we are recommending a hold on this counter with the initial price target of somewhere around 385 to 400. Now talking about the fundamentals of this counter, first of all, I always look after the management guidance. And now management is more focusing on RE, that is renewable energy. So I think if they are having such a good focus, then definitely it will help in improving their financial performance because they themselves are targeting 2.5 times of PAT, which they are showing in FY24 to be there in by FY30. So this type of guidance is given by the management. So I think this is a good long-term story to bet upon. Maybe buying on dips can also work, but not right now. Let some fall come more, maybe at around 330 odd levels. But those who are having this stock in their portfolio, they can continue with it with the initial price target of 385 to 400.
Okay. Somil, good afternoon, and what's your word coming in on Tata Power? Last 6 months, we've seen a decline of almost 21%. So Tata Power's your view?
I totally agree with Asa that some more pain still left in the short term. Long term definitely looks good, but in the very short term, I think the next levels to watch out would be around 334 and 319. That's what the levels I'm looking for in the very short term. However, the resistance would be around 357 and 367. So basically, it's making lower tops, lower bottom formation on the higher degree time frame. It is still on the sell side, so still more pain left in the very short term.
Okay, let's move on to the next query for today. And the next query is on Bharat Electronics, where Ramesh Babu is writing to us from Bangalore, who is holding 230 shares of Bharat Electronics at a price of 250 rupees per share, making some bit of a profit on this one. Wants to know whether he should continue to hold this or look to sell at the current levels. Somil, up to you on the charts and technicals. BEL, what is that one looking like? Because obviously we've seen a very sharp run up in this stock as well in the last year or so. Does it merit continue holding the stock, and do you expect a further upside?
I think long-term story definitely is great, and it has been trading in a very broad range. The range would be around 250, and on the higher side would be around 200 and 315. So it's a very broad range, and we are at a very end of it is trading at the very lower end of the broad range. So I think from here, holding on to this stock is great. And the resistance on the upside would be around 270 and 275. If it goes above 275, I think the next rally on the upside starts.
Okay, surely keeping an eye out on Bharat Electronics and the levels over there. Astha, what is your view coming in for Bharat Electronics? They're going to be reporting their numbers tomorrow as well. But on the fundamentals, BEL, is it looking interesting, and should the viewer continue to hold this?
Yes, the interesting, candidate, the way we have seen a fall has come in this counter. So, but we really would like to see the results, because right now what we are seeing, that results are really deciding the future of any stock price momentum. But talking about the fundamentals of this counter seems to be looking good at this point of a time, because what we are seeing, that they have a very robust order book of around 74,000 crore. And now this order book of 74,000 crore, it becomes so important because it is 4 times, almost 3.7 times of their FY24 revenues. So a good revenue visibility. And in fact, management is also targeting 15% CAGR growth over coming few years. So yes, We will really like to see the results, but I think one can remain invested in this counter with an initial price target of 295.
Okay. The next query we have is on NTPC Green. Now, Nitin Arora is writing to us from New Delhi. He's holding NTPC Green Energy at a price 200 shares, price is 110 rupees per share. Currently, the stock is trading at 114 rupees long term. What's the story looking like for this one, and should he continue to hold this or look to sell? Astha, your view on NTPC Green?
Yes, long term is looking good to us. We all know that kind of project this company is having. Definitely, the future outlook is very promising for this counter. Right now, also it is trading, at a 4% upside momentum. So we are positive on this counter, recommending a hold with an initial price target of around 130.
Okay, Somil, I know there are not enough charts and technicals to factor in any points, but any view that you have on NTPC Green?
In the very short term, if I see on the hourly charts, because I don't have much data on the daily and the weekly, on the hourly charts, there's a small head and shoulder pattern formed, and it's trading about 20 and 40 hourly moving average. So I think the next level on the upside, my bias is positive on the stock, and I think it should target around 120, 123 levels.
Okay, Charlie, keeping an eye out on that. NTPC Green, keep an eye out on those levels over there. But on that note, we're going to step into a very short break. And on the other side, our special segment, the Growth Code, an initiative by Grow and CNBC-TV18, we'll address viewer questions on how to navigate market and make informed trading decisions. So stay tuned in for that. Welcome back. It's time now to focus on the Growth Code, a special initiative by Grow and CNBC-TV18. Whether you are a new trading or investor or a professional seasoned trader, our goal is to provide you with actionable insights and strategies to navigate the market and make informed trading decisions. Still have with us our experts for today, Somil Mehta as well as Astha Jain, to answer all those queries. Let's move on and get started with the first query for this segment. We have Nikita Iyer, who's writing to us from Kerala. She has, and she's saying that she tends to overtrade, especially during the expiry weeks, chasing, coming in for the profits there, and that is why the overtrading that comes in. She's asking how she can avoid actually falling into this trap. Somil, let me take this query to you first.
I think emotions are the only reason for overtrading. There's no other reason. Greed and fear makes you overtrade. It does not matter whether it is an expiry week or normal time. So to avoid this, stick to a trading plan. You need to have a entry and exit rule and your risk management rules. So stick to your plan and focus on entry and exit rules.
Absolutely. Stick to those entry and exit rules. That's the advice coming in from Somil. Astha, what would your advice be for the viewer?
Yes, I agree with Somil that sometimes fear of missing out is the major, emotion that always play, and especially in the expiry week. Please don't go with that emotion. So set your maximum number of trades limit. First of all, how many number of trades you want to do. Secondly, just set your stop losses, targets. I think that will really help you. And thirdly, I think you can trade in the high probability counters. Now, what here high probability means, where we know that some news effect will be there, result effect will be there. So the probability of going that stock in one direction, either northwards or southward, is higher. So I think in that way also one can, avoid the emotion of, doing over trading, and these strategies can be implemented. Definitely it will help.
Okay, let's move on to the next query. Kamlesh Jain is writing to us from Pune, he's holding and asking, actually, I beg your pardon, how can traders avoid misjudging the volatility in the market during expiry week and avoid costly mistakes? Your view on this, Somil?
High volatility is very common in the expiry week. So my general rule is that I avoid heavy trading. If I have a rule, if I have a very short rule and entry and exit plan for a specific counters, I will definitely trade on it. However, I will avoid trading heavily. I will stick to the large caps, the top 50 stocks, so that the volatility is not very high.
Okay. And Astha, your view on this?
So I think first of all, please track PCR ratio, that is put call ratio. That will really help you to know the potential reversals in the prices. Secondly, don't be over leveraged position wise. So I think that will also help. And implied volatility, it will going to be very high. So you have to track VIX also. So I think these are some of the points. And what happened in the case of expiry week, especially open interest usually tend to change. Some of the positions are concentrated. So we really need to see how the open interest is changing, because that is also an important indicator where the positions are concentrating, etc. So I think by keeping all these things in mind, it will help.
Okay, let's move on to the next query. Rahul Kapoor is writing to us from Kolkata, and he says that traders often lose money by being on the wrong side of the options during expiry. He's asking, how can one actually decide whether to write or buy options during the expiry? Somil?
I think there are two sections here. One is beginners, and the others is experienced traders. Experienced traders, where I see traders who have more than 5 years of experience trading in the markets, trading options and trading futures. So I think for beginners, it is good to buy options and not sell options, and have small stop losses and small targets for these buying options. The other thing which you need to do is that when you're buying option, you need to follow the trend and not do any bottom fishing or top catching the top. You just have to follow the trend, buy options, and with small stop losses and small targets. For experienced traders, I think you should make strategies where you can calculate IVs. You should have a PCR call put ratio, and then calculate the strategies and then execute these strategies. That would be my recommendation.
Absolutely. And Astha, your view, how can one decide whether to write or buy an option during the expiry week?
So I think buying option is recommended, especially on those times when we know that there can be a one-side momentum in the stock prices. Now, this momentum can be due to the news, due to the results, anything. So at that time, we can buy options. Secondly, when there is a high implied volatility, that is also the time when we can buy option. And thirdly, I think if open interest positions are building up, but they are not hedged, then again, it is a time when one can buy the options. On the contrary, writing of the option is recommended, especially when the implied volatility is low. So I think that is the major point. And in the near term or a near expiry contracts, I think writing options are more suggestible.
Okay. Let's move on to the next query then for this segment. We have Divya Khanna, who's writing to us from Odisha. She says that open interest and volumes are often mentioned during this expiry time. Now, she's asking, how can she avoid misinterpreting these indicators? Somil?
I think the first thing you need to do is focus on price action. Of course, we need to focus on OI built up as well for very specific strike price, and identify support and resistance, but don't rely totally on these support and resistance, because they change very quickly. Focus on price action, take your support and resistance from OI build-ups, and then make your trades. Do not only focus on OI. Price action, support and resistance, these are the right way to trade while expiry or any time of the month.
Okay, and Astha, your view on this?
So what we believe that one really need to understand why there is a change in the open interest. Is it some increase or a build up in the volume, or some closing down of the position? Because that is also very important. If there is a change in the open interest, we should know the reason. So I think that is the major focus, that why there is a. And secondly, even we should also take this volume into consideration, that whether the volumes are really having the effect on open interest change or not, in the way that open interest is building up or not with the increase in the volume. Because sometimes what happens, it can be also due to the speculation. So we really need to take care about these factors.
Okay, let's move on to the next query. Arish Verma is writing to us from Bangalore, and he's saying that he had entered expiry weeks without a solid trading plan in the past and has faced losses. Now, he wants to know the importance of having a strategy for expiry and specific trades, explore the specific trades that he may be looking at. Somil, your view?
I think without a plan, you'll be making losses for sure. Without a plan, you'll be over trading. Your emotions will come in, and you will jump into stocks which are spiking on the expiry time. So I think without a plan, you definitely make losses. So stay disciplined, make rules, make a plan, and then trade. Specific trading, I think. If you're a beginner, stay on top 50 stocks and trade with the momentum.
Okay, and your view on this, Astha?
So I think during the expiry weeks, basically market makers, they really hedge their position aggressively. So you really need to have a plan. Otherwise, what happens? Your stop losses can trigger. So in order to avoid that, and in the expiry week also, one can have the emotions of doing overtrade. So I think in order to avoid all these mistakes or situations, it's better to have a well plan before going for the expiry week strategy.
Okay, absolutely. So, make a plan before you do anything. But thank you so much, Astha, as well as Somil, for joining in with us on the show. It's always a pleasure having you both. And thank you for answering our viewer-related queries. And viewers, it's a wrap on this edition of Your Stocks on CNBC TV18. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, you can always write to us in terms of your queries, and we'll address them with our experts. But for the next 1 hour of trade, we have Closing Bell that will take you to the market action.